Hi, I'm Keith Nelson, Sakakawea District Superintendent. I'm pleased to be sharing the season of Lent with you as together many of us journey our way through Lent, also using Adam Hamilton's book, 24 Hours That Changed the World. Now, the topic that I want to speak to you about for a moment today is that of the Garden of Gethsemane. The picture that you're seeing on your screen right now is a picture of what the garden looked like 15 years ago when my wife and I were there along with others from the Dakotas Conference. We were on a Holy Land tour, and I took that picture. Now, I remember being in the Garden of Gethsemane all those years ago and feeling that something just wasn't quite right. It wasn't what I was expecting. I wondered what it was that didn't fit my mental images, and I finally figured it out, that I was seeing the garden in the daytime light. And the main image that I had of the garden was that of a painting of Jesus praying in the garden. And of course, in that painting, it was nighttime. It was after sunset, so it was dark. In fact, one of my favorite portraits, pictures of Jesus, is Heinrich Hoffmann's Agony in Gethsemane, in which Christ is kneeling, leaning on a rock, hands folded in a prayerful attitude with his face looking toward the heavens. Now, you might wonder why on earth I like that picture so much. I mean, after all, it's so dark and the subject matter is so heavy, knowing what Jesus is just about to go through, the denial, the arrest, the trial, the beatings, and finally, the crucifixion. But that is exactly why I like that picture so much, because it captures an aspect of Jesus' humanity that often I think we tend, or at least I tend, to skip over. That of the turmoil, the struggle, and the anguish that Jesus experienced in his life here on earth. You see, that's a piece of Jesus' humanity that I can relate to, the struggle, the darkness, because I believe that's something that all of us encounter and deal with in our journey through this life. Seeing the darkness and the heaviness that Jesus experienced reminds me that Jesus can understand the darkness and the heaviness that I've encountered along the way in my journey of life too. Such things such as a moment early on in my life when a neighbor boy and friend of mine was killed in a motorcycle accident. Another would be when I was a hospital chaplain and that door to that profession was slammed shut in my face. I wasn't endorsed as a chaplain. I was devastated because I thought I knew where my life and my ministry was going. When my wife and I lost our first pregnancy, that was a moment that turned from joy to fear, to that of loss in just a matter of hours. I felt so alone and so helpless. Or there have been other times, such as in ministry, when something didn't go as I had planned, or there have been several moments in which I was there and watched a loved one take their final breath in this world. Those are just a few of the moments of darkness that have touched my life. There are others, and I'm sure the same is true for each of you who are listening to me right now. I expect that each of you have had those moments in which you felt darkness, heaviness, fear, aloneness in your life. That's simply a part of what it means to be human and to experience this journey of life. But an important reminder for all of us from the story and from Adam Hamilton's book is that we are not alone in those experiences. We may feel alone at times, just as Jesus felt alone in the garden. But you know, Jesus did have some disciples close at hand. Were they able to respond effectively or appropriately to what Jesus needed? No. They kept falling asleep. But those friends knew that something was wrong. They knew something heavy was going on in Jesus' life. Actually, those disciples really weren't too far away. It's just that their own needs and interests, sleepiness and fear, got in the way of their being available to help meet Jesus' needs in that moment. Plus, even though later on Jesus would cry out those famous words, my God, why have you forsaken me?" The truth is, even then, God was with him. In our journey through life and this season of Lent, may we remember what our own garden experiences are, or what they have been. Where are those places that in your life you have felt darkness, despair, the feeling of being alone? May we remember that even in those moments we are not alone, and that God's light has come into this world. Today, may we experience God's presence as being near to us in our journey through Lent. We may feel alone, but we are never, never abandoned. God bless you today and each day in this journey of life.